Hi guys, my name is Stephanie and you're welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, you're highly welcome. Please consider subscribing to join this family. So in this video, I'll be sharing with you guys how to cut and sew this waist drawstring gown. It has a slit in front and I'll be making use of this fabric right here. It's about 3 yards, and then I have other materials here that I'll be making use of at the course of this project, so keep watching. So I've actually gone ahead to fold the fabric into 2, and then I'm drawing this straight line at the upper side to serve as my starting point. So I'll be cutting the skirt part first before the upper part. So I'll actually go ahead and place the tape and then minus her waist measurement from her shoulder to her waist, which is also her half length. So I'll go ahead and minus the 17 inches, her half length 17 inches, and then mark her full length of 60 inches, and then add 3 inches for folding allowance and joining allowance at the shoulder. So she's really tall. Her full length is 60, and then I've added extra 3 inches at the downside. And the next measurement I'll be taking is from her waist to her hip point. From her waistline to her hip point is about 9 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark the 9 inches right there, and then connect a straight line all the way to this other side. So the line I used my free hand to draw was not straight, so I'm just using my ruler to correct it to make it to be straight. And then the next thing I will do is to divide her waist measurement by 4. Her waist is 38. I will divide it by 4 and then mark it. And I'll go ahead and add 1 inch for ease and 1.5 inch for sewing allowance. And next is her hip point. From this hip point, I'm going to be dividing her round hip measurement. Her round hip is 42. I'll divide it, I'll mark it, mark 1 inch for ease and then 1.5 for sewing allowance. From the waistline, there is no extra inches for that because there is not going to be that on this dress, so I'll go ahead and connect it all the way to this other side. I'll connect from the waistline to the hip point. From here, I actually marked the measurement. And what I did was that I connected a straight line from that hip point all the way to the downside to make it a straight gown, but I later on changed it to have shape at the downside. And I've also gone ahead to use that piece as a template to cut the front piece. The piece I cut before was the back, and then this one that have excess allowance is the front, because the gown is going to have a slit in front, so I need extra allowance for the sewing and then the folding. So the entire gown is actually not going to have any zip. There's no zip at the back, okay? So I've gone ahead to place it back in order to minus the inches at the downside to shape it all the way to the hip point. So I'm going to be minusing 1.5 inch at the downside to actually give it a shape at the downside instead of going straight. So I've gone ahead to do that. So I'll just connect it all the way to the hip point and then cut it out. So guys, after doing that, I'll go ahead and fold these pieces, both the back and the front, and then keep it one side and work on the upper part. So for this upper part, I've gone ahead to fold it into 4. I will be cutting both the back and the front together. I've divided her shoulder, which is 17, by 2, 8.5. I've marked the 8.5, and then I'm making a shoulder drop of 9 inches. So this is depending on how long you want the sleeve to be, how you want the sleeve to drop. So I actually drop it at 9 inches. So for the half length, her half length is 17 inches, which is from her shoulder to her waist. And then I've gone ahead to add extra 1 inch. I've marked the 18 inches, and then I'm connecting the line to this other side. So for the neckline, the back neck depth, I'm making use of 1.5 inch. I'll go ahead and mark the 1.5 inch, and then the neck width I'm making use of is 4 inches. So it's going to be for the both back and the front, 4 inches, and then the neck depth of the back is 1.5. So I'll go ahead and connect it, and then the next thing I'm going to do is to be slanting the shoulder. So from that 4 inches, I'm going to be slanting it all the way to where the shoulder drop stop. I will slant it all the way to the marked line. So the next measurement I'll be taking is her armhole opening. So the armhole opening I'm making use of is 8 inches, and then add extra inch for sewing allowance. So I'll go ahead and connect it from that shoulder slope to the 9 inches, and then I'll go ahead and divide her bust measurement. Her bust is 41. I'll divide it by 4. I'll mark it right there, and then I'll add extra 1 inch for ease 1.5 inch for sewing allowance. I'll go ahead and mark it there. From the waistline as well, her waist is 38. I will divide it by 4. I'll mark it right there. Add 1 inch for ease, 1.5 for sewing allowance. So guys, for this waistline you can actually add extra inches since it's actually going to have a drawstring at the waist, so depending on how full you want it to be, if you want, you can add extra inches. You can add extra 2 inches or 1.5 inch for the drawstring to form well, so depending on how full you want it to be. But for me, I actually made use of the 1.5 inch that I added, and then the 1 inch is going to be for the sewing allowance. So I'll just make use of that, and then I'll go ahead and cut out everything and following the marked lines. So guys, I'm actually done doing that. I'm done cutting the upper side. This is what I have, so I'll go ahead and separate it and then place the front piece to still work on it. So I'm minusing 2 inches from the downside. I will continue marking the 2 inches all the way to where the neckline is actually going to stop. It's going to be a V neckline, so from the upper side I'm making use of 8 inches of neck depth. So I'll go ahead and mark the 8 inches there, and then I'll move in from there by 2 inches, connect it all the way to the waistline. And then from this neck width, I'll be using a ruler to connect a line all the way to the 8 inches. I'll just slant it like that all the way to the 8 inches, just the same way you see like this. I'll just make sure that I blend it well so that it will not be too sharp at the 8 inches. So I'll go ahead and cut it out now. And I also go ahead and notch it at this 8 inches to know where I'll be measuring later on. So I'll go ahead and place with the right sides facing each other, both the back and the 2 front pieces. They'll face each other like this, and then I'll take it and sew about 1/2 inch at the shoulder line. So guys, I'm actually done doing that. I'm done joining both the back and the front piece at the shoulder line, and the next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to be marking it all the way around. Starting from the waistline, I'll mark it all the way to the upper side, and then from the neckline, back neckline, I'll take it all the way around. So guys, after measuring it around, I have about 45 inches right here. So I'll go ahead and cut a piece that I'll be using as a placket to sew around the neckline. So it's actually more than 45 inches, but when I am done, I'll cut out the excess. And I've also gone ahead to place an interfacing, to iron an interfacing on it, as you can see. And from here you see that it's folded into 2. It's actually folded into 2, and then the whole length is more than what I actually need, but I'll actually trim it out when I'm done. So guys, this placket is actually 2.5 inches, and then if it's not fold, it's 5 inches wide, because I actually minus 2 inches, and then 1/2 inch is going to be for sewing allowance. So from this 8 inches, I'm going to be marking from the midpoint of the back neckline. I'll fold it and then start measuring from there all the way to the 8 inches. I'll fold it into 2 and then mark the midpoint. So when I'm done, I'll just measure it all the way to the point where I actually notch. So I'll just continue taking it. I'll take it all the way to the point. So what I have is about 14 inches. It's about 14 inches. So from this placket, I'm going to be marking on fold. It's still on fold. From that upper side, I'll mark to 14 inches with my chalk. And I've also gone ahead to iron it to know the midpoint of the placket. So I'll go ahead and sew it from that 14 inches all the way to the downside. I will double stitch from there and then sew it down. So guys, I'm actually done doing that. I'm done sewing it, and then I'll go ahead and open it up, open the other side as well, and then take it and neatly iron it to stay in place. So guys, I've actually gone ahead to do that. I neatly iron it, and then this is what it looks like. I've also gone ahead to mark the midpoint, to notch from this midpoint. So from that midpoint, that's where I will start fixing it. I will turn it over like this, and then from that mid back, I'll place it with the right sides facing each other, and then I'll go ahead and sew it all the way to the downside. I'll do the same thing to this other side as well. So guys, I'm actually done doing that, and this is what it looks like. So this excess that is down here, I'll go ahead and cut it out right now. So guys, I've also gone ahead to cut this piece I'll be turning the sleeve with. So the width is 2.5 inches on fold. I'll place it from the wrong side and then flip it over to the right side, and then I'll go ahead and sew it like that, or you can also tack it at some places so that it's hold in place, but for me I will just sew it and then do the same thing to the other side. So guys, I'm actually done doing that, and this is what it looks like. So from this skirt part, I've also gone ahead to create the slit for the front piece. The slit is from the left hand side, so I place it on fold like this, and then I mark her nipple to nipple measurement is 8. I marked 4 inches and then add half an inch to it, making 4.5 inches. The half an inch is going to be for sewing of the slit from inside, so I just cut it straight and then sew it and then stop exactly where she actually wants the slit to stop. This is actually optional if you want it to be too low or too high, depending on how you want it to be. So for this down part again, I will be fixing inner pockets for it. I've gone ahead to cut 4 of the pieces, so I'm marking from the upper side 2.5 inches. I'll mark the 2.5 inches from this side and then from this other side as well. So I'll go ahead and place it with this side that is actually curved. I'll place it from the 2.5 inches and then I'll go ahead and sew it. So guys, I've actually gone ahead to do that. I actually went ahead to sew it. See that the side that is curvy is the one that is facing up. I did the same thing to the back piece as well. So the next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to be marking the midpoint of both the upper side and the downside. I'll place it with the right sides facing each other, and then I'll take it and sew it. And I'll repeat the same process with this other piece as well. So guys, I've actually gone ahead to join it, both the back and the front, as you can see. So I'll just flip it over with the right sides facing each other, and then I'll be sewing the sides now. I'll just take it to my sewing machine and then sew from the upper side. From that sleeve, I'll sew the inches that I left for sewing allowance, and then when I reach from this pocket, I'll go in by half an inch and then go all the way around about half an inch, and then come to this other side as well. I'll just start from there, sew it, and then also go in from there about half an inch, and then continue sewing it all the way to the downside. I'll be repeating that same process with this other side as well. I will sew it and then stop exactly there, half an inch down and inward, and then I'll continue sewing it all the way down. So when I'm done, I'll also be folding the downside as well. I actually notch where the length stop, so I'll just fold in to stop exactly there when I'm done joining the side. So guys, I'm actually done doing that. I'm done sewing the sides, as you can see, and then you see how the inner pocket is from this side and the slit as well. So in order to make this waist drawstring, I've gone ahead to create this fabric that I've folded from both sides. It's about an inch, so I'm going to be placing it from the middle of both this joining. So I'll fold it there and then sew it or hem it with a hemming gum, and then I'll be placing it. So from the midpoint, I marked half an inch outward, but I later on made it to be smaller than that. I actually wanted it to be a bit close, so I did not make use of the half an inch later on. So I've also gone ahead to sew it, and then I'll be placing it from the middle of the sewing to cover the sewing. So I'll just cover it like that, and then I'll take it all the way to sew at the tip of both sides all the way to this other side. So guys, I'm actually done doing that, as you can see. You see, if you're sewing it, you just have to open it up and then sew it so that you don't end up closing both the back and the front piece. So this is how the back looks like, and this is how the front looks like as well, and then from inside as well. So guys, I've actually gone ahead to create a rope. I actually closed the mouth of the both sides so that it will actually be neat, and then I open it in a different place to turn it and then sew it. So I have about 62.5 inches. The length is 62.5 inches. So I'll be using my safety pin to hold it on it and then take it all the way around the gown. So guys, I'm actually done doing that. I'm done taking the rope all the way to this other side. So it will actually be drawing. She can actually adjust it to how she wants it to be, to fit on her waist. So this is the end result of the gown, you guys. I'm just trying to adjust it to tie the rope so that you guys will see. So guys, this is actually the end result of this gown. I'm done making it. You see the side pockets, the slit, and then the up from this upper side as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you're still here, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and also share it to anyone you know the video will be of help to. I'll also be linking my other videos in the description box, so you go check it. Thank you, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.